Oh, man, I'm tired. Should go for a cup of coffee. Oh! Hey! It's you! What excellent timing! I was just about to have a cup of coffee, and, well, I guess you're the coffee review audience, so, let's, review a cup of coffee. Let's see, what do we got here? Ah! Alright, I happen to have some coffee right here. As you can see from the label, it's NesCafe. I'm sure you can read Mandarin Chinese, right? Yes. So you're probably wondering what is this guy doing with Chinese coffee? Well, if you remember, back a while ago, I reviewed the Mexican NesCafe, and I told a story about how I originally got into this single pack coffee when I was in China, and it was in the hotel. They had the little, like, in the drawer, like, little sewing pack and just weird random stuff, and there was coffee in there, and like a water boiler, and I just really got into it while I was there. And so this is what I picked up from the store when I drank all the stuff that was in the hotel, and I needed more. The stuff in the hotel was like some off-brand, and then this is what I got at the store. So this is like some of the first instant coffee I've ever had in my life, and so in a way, it's sort of like the gold standard in my mind, to which I will always compare everything else. So I've got some. This is actually the original box, and I have just a little bit left. I've been saving it, and so I'm gonna make a cup today. This is a special moment for everybody here. This is what it looks like, the little pack here, and you know, it's got dust on it. Sheesh. Okay, it's kind of old. It's this trip to China was a while ago. So anyway, this is the pack here, and it makes one cup. It's got 1.8 grams in it, and the ingredient is coffee beans, and then everything else on here is Chinese, and I can't read it. So all right, I'm gonna boil some water and drink a cup. We'll talk about it, and oh look, see, English on this side, in case you didn't believe me that this was NesCafe. This right here, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, this is a symbol I learned very well. That means coffee. So every place where there's like a cafe, or you see this on the sign there, very important to know if you're in China and you like coffee, or just places where they serve coffee. It might also be an internet cafe or something like that. Alright, I'm gonna go boil that water. Be right back. Alright, I got my boiling water here, and wow, here's the big moment. I'm gonna find out if this is turned into worms. This is old. I'm not gonna tell you how long ago it was that I was in China, because I don't want you to know how old I am. Alright, wow. NesCafe. I'm gonna get a look in there. Sorry, this is boring. You can't see this, unfortunately. I need a GoPro or something, huh? That'd make these reviews more interesting. Point of view perspective. POV. Alright, that doesn't look like enough to me. I think it's because it got like turned into powder. It looks bigger when it's in the little like clumps. Oh boy. I think I'm gonna sneeze. I hope I don't sneeze. There's a lot of pollen in the air. Alrighty. There it is. Where should I put this? There. Alright. So now I got my cup of coffee. Looks too weak. I think maybe I was supposed to put less water. I hope that does not influence the review negatively. So this is hot, needs a minute. So a little background. What was I doing in China? Well, I was actually, when I had the coffee, I was in Hong Kong, which is technically China. But if you know your history, your recent history, 1997, up until 1997, for 100 years it had been under British rule, and therefore, to this day, there's a lot of English-speaking stuff in Hong Kong. But in 1997, due to the fact that there was an agreement, they came up with like a treaty or something. I don't know, it was like a lease agreement or something, like 100 years. After 100 years, we're going to give it back to China, which at the time was a completely different, isn't like not even the same China of today. They underwent 1 or 2 revolutions. I don't know, you go back to like 1897. We're talking like Imperial China. Then you had the Republic of China, the People's Republic of China. You got Taiwan, to this day, claims that they're the real Chinese government. And of course, in Beijing, you've got the PRC, the People's Republic of China, claiming, oh, we're the real China. So this treaty, or whatever it was, the lease agreement, I don't know, it didn't mention anything about, what would be done in the event that there was a dispute as to who the legitimate China was. But I guess because they actually border China, it just made sense. Like, okay, we're gonna hand it over to the People's Republic of China, the Communist People's Republic of China, which is crazy because if you know what Hong Kong is like, it was pretty much, in its government and everything, it was like it's a Western country. They were used to freedom, and they had like freedom of speech and semblance of democracy, so even in China, the legitimacy of government comes from the consent of the people. So when they handed Hong Kong back over to China, there was a kind of an understanding like, all right, you're gonna leave Hong Kong alone somewhere. You're not gonna impose the same kinds of like totalitarian rules on them as the rest of China. So they had this, it was a concept called two nations, one state, or something like that. I forget what they call it. But if you've been watching the news, that has kind of come under, it's been a bit of an issue because China has started, clamping down on Hong Kong, taking away their freedoms, which were the basis of, as part of the agreement. Like, okay, hey, you're gonna give us some autonomy here, semi-autonomy. So it's kind of like an experiment. Let's see what happens when we take this formerly independent country and hand it over to this big giant country, this, behemoth, China. It's like 1 billion people, And let's see what happens. Is it going to work out? Are they going to be able to maintain their identity as an independent people and nation? Or are they just going to get swallowed up and corrupted? I think I can drink this now. Oh yeah. That hits the spot. So we've now seen what happens. Seemed fine for a while. Yeah, it's not going well. And then this, should I mention it? Yeah, I'm not going to mention it. Alright. Other things have happened that have really changed politics globally. It's kind of caused people to turn their attention away from what's happening globally and focus more inwardly. People nowadays are a little more concerned with what's going on in their own country, and it's like easier for other countries to get away with stuff now. So hardly anybody is really caring that much about Hong Kong now, because everybody's got their own troubles to deal with. Man, but gee, what is that like? It's kind of sort of reminds, the dynamics of that situation kind of remind me of something. You know, independent, you know, little country being taken over by this super big, you know, it's kind of like when Disney bought Lucasfilm. So like, okay, we've got Star Wars going back to 1977, and with that trilogy, and then that turned into like a franchise. We got the prequel trilogy, turned into this whole big company, Lucasfilm, and everything's going great. For some reason, I don't know why exactly, Lucas decided to sell his company to Disney, this giant behemoth of an entertainment company. And you know, we were all just like the world was watching when Hong Kong got taken over by China. The Star Wars fandom had to sit back and watch and see what would happen. Would Star Wars be able to survive this takeover, or would it be swallowed up and have its soul taken away by this behemoth, Disney? Well, I gotta be honest, I had high hopes at the beginning. I thought Disney, I liked Disney, I liked the movies that they make. I thought, if anything, the company that gave us Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a trilogy I like. It's a whole other topic. There's actually 4 or 5 movies, but there is really only 3 in my mind. And it's another one of those things that was meant to be a trilogy, like Indiana Jones. There's so many things. Things have to come in 3s for some reason. I don't know why. You have trilogy. If you're gonna expand it, then it needs to become a trilogy of trilogies. It's like 3 threes. Anyway, man, I am really getting off track here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah, is Star Wars going to survive this takeover, or is it going to get destroyed? So I had high hopes. Yeah, then we got Force Awakens, and then we got Rogue One, and then we got Last Jedi and Solo, and now we got The Rise of Skywalker. Oh man. So the trilogy is complete, and just like we see in Hong Kong, it does not look like it has gone well. The takeover has not turned out well for Star Wars or Hong Kong. And you know what? It's been hard. Now, I'm not a super fan. Okay, I know there's people out there, and for them, this Star Wars is like, it's like their religion, and they know, like I haven't even watched the cartoon, the Clone Wars. There's Clone Wars and the Clone Wars. That's another topic. Does anybody know what happened to the Cartoon Network one? I think it was just Clone Wars, and then the Clone Wars was the computer animated one. I liked the Cartoon Network one. I thought that was really good. And I didn't like the CGI one as much. I think I'm very alone in that opinion. But the cartoon one seemed to just disappeared. I think when Disney bought Lucasfilm, they decided that the cartoon was not canon, and it got tossed aside. into the dustbin of legend. So, and I'm sorry if this is going way off topic here. I don't want to bore you, but I just feel like I gotta get this off my chest, man. It was so disappointing to see what happened with Star Wars. I didn't like Force Awakens that much, okay? And I've got issues with The Last Jedi, too. The Rise of Skywalker, I don't think there's anybody who's saying that that was good. The Last Jedi was divisive. There was, most fans hated it. There was some true fans who actually liked it. But Rise of Skywalker, unmitigated failure. It is a real bad movie. Okay, but let's go back. Okay? What went wrong with Force Awakens? I was thinking about this recently, and I had an interesting thought. And like so many things, you can learn a lot by comparing something to something else, which is similar yet different. And then you look at the things as different to learn about what makes this unique, what gives it its essence. So with Star Wars, we've always had the Star Wars versus Star Trek debate, right? It's like, although lots of people are fans of both, they've always been kind of understood to be like two totally different things, which is pretty funny because in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty similar. They're both like, they both got spaceships and aliens, okay? And with humans, for some reason. English-speaking humans. In space. Having space adventures. Right? So you'd think, okay, Star Wars, Star Trek, same thing, right? But no. There's a fundamental difference. So I was thinking about it. I was asking myself, what is the main difference? And the idea that I came up with, although to be honest, I probably didn't come up with it. I probably saw it on a YouTube video or somebody else's idea. I'm sure. It's not like I'm the first person to think this, but okay, here's my thought. Star Trek is by its essence episodic, whereas Star Wars is a saga. Okay? This is just another way of saying Star Trek is a science fiction, whereas Star Wars is a space fantasy. So you got fantasy versus science fiction. Okay. So why is science fiction episodic? What does that have to do with anything? Okay, what does episodic even mean? Right? Alright, so here it is. It comes down to continuity. So with something that is episodic, you have a fixed set of characters and setting. Okay, so for Star Trek, this would be the Federation of Planets, the Star Trek, the Enterprise, and your cast. You got Kirk, and you got Spock, and you got Scotty, and the whole cast, Picard, etc. Going into Next Generation. Okay, so these characters are essentially, they're fixed. They don't change from episode to episode. But what we get with each episode is it's a new situation, a new dilemma or something. These characters are constantly put into new situations, and we kind of watch to see how they react. And it's really, the story is about ideas. We're taking, in many cases, we're actually taking problems from our world, the real world, and we're just dealing with them in allegorical form in this little science fiction setting, with these kind of, you could almost call them caricatures, because they don't change, and they can't change. Captain Kirk is Captain Kirk is Captain Kirk. He doesn't change, he's consistent, he's reliable, and that is very important. to a show that is episodic in nature. It's the thing that stays consistent from episode to episode. Alright, now we could go off and talk about, like, oh, well, okay, but Star Trek Next Generation had, like, an ongoing story, and then Deep Space Nine turned into a soap opera. Okay, alright. But how did the fans react to that? Huh? Okay, that's another topic, alright? Now, here's the big difference with space fantasy. So yeah, you've got the setting of, you've got the spaceships and the aliens, but your characters are real characters. They're dynamic. The story is about the characters and the changes that they undergo and their progression as real people. So it's a story about, people. Okay? Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker, and it's about a boy, coming of age and going out into the world and all that stuff. Okay, so your characters undergo changes. So where's the continuity there? Well, your continuity is in the universe itself, and there's usually like a single one story being told that is the arc throughout all the different installments in the saga, right? Whereas in an episodic show, it's like a new story every single day. Okay, so bearing that in mind, now we come to The Force Awakens. What happened in Force Awakens? It's a paradox. They wanted to have two things in one. Have their cake and eat it too, so to speak. On the one hand, you had the nostalgic J.J. Abrams, who wanted to take the beloved characters of Star Wars and turn them into these, fixed, unchanging, basically toys. They're like the plastic toys that he probably played with as a kid. They're not real characters anymore. They're just fixed in stone or carbonite, as it were. Haha. So, okay, but if you do that, then how can you tell a Star Wars story? Because Star Wars, by its nature, it involves characters changing and progressing, falling, rising, yada yada. Okay, so how are you gonna do that when you've essentially turned the characters into caricatures? You'd be changing the essence of the franchise into something that is episodic. It would basically become Star Trek, and you can't do that because that is its soul is in its being a saga. All right, so they said, I guess they must have said to themselves at some point, okay, well, in order for us to tell a story without changing Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie, they all stay the same, just that somehow in 30 years they haven't changed a bit. Okay, great. So we're all like touched because, oh, yay, we're home, Chewie. Okay. So we're gonna introduce new characters. So we got our new characters. We got Rey and Kylo and Finn. All right, and these are our characters that the real story is going to be about. And we're going to have these little caricatures in the background, which have become essentially setting. Luke and Leia, Han, Chewie, they're just setting now. They're part of the fixed, constellation of unchanging, things. All right, so they try to do both. It was just a weird merging. It was awkward. I don't want to say it was a disaster, okay? Because it was just part one in a trilogy, and they had two more movies to go after that to finish the job. This was just the beginning, and although I didn't like it much, in retrospect, there was plenty of places they could have gone with it that would have been plenty satisfying for a Star Wars fan, and they didn't have to undermine the essence of what Star Wars is. And, you know, to be frank, they didn't have to destroy the characters either, which is the big contention against The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson's film, is that he went too far in the other direction, and he just slaughtered Luke. He turned him into something that is, you know, undermines his essence of what he is. You know, the hopeful, optimistic, good guy. You know, people had a problem with that. I didn't. I thought it was kind of interesting. Like, okay, he's a real guy. You know, and he's maybe, you know, he's great and stuff, you know, but he's not perfect, and he's fallible. So, you know, that was an interesting story. It's something to work with. A hero's journey, you know. Okay, that's another discussion. But anyway, we had those two extremes with Force Awakens and Last Jedi, which brings us to number 3, The Rise of Skywalker. So I don't think much needs to be said about it. It's just bad. There's with both Force Awakens and Last Jedi, I could look at it and I could say, okay, there's some things in here that are good. There's some things in here that are bad. Okay, I can overlook the bad stuff and just focus on the things I like. Like the Porgs. I love the Porgs. The Rise of Skywalker had nothing at all in it that was any good. There's nothing worth keeping. So if I was to do an edit where I just took out all the things I didn't like, I would probably have like a 5-minute film. And I can't even think right now what scene I would keep. What was the best part of Rise of Skywalker? Horses running across the deck of a Star Destroyer. Yes, that was brilliant. Okay, so I just keep that. Alright, and that's it. That's the end of Star Wars. Horses running across the deck of a Star Destroyer for some reason. Alright, so Disney took over. Star Wars seems ruined. This gets me depressed when I think about it. So how am I even able to get up in the morning? How am I able to face life with this heavy burden hanging over me all the time? Well, the inspiration actually came from a weird place. Oh man. You know, I'm just looking at the clock right now, and I'm realizing that I've been talking for a long time, and you haven't said anything. This is just a one-way conversation. It's getting kind of awkward. Alright. Tell you what. I'm going to turn this into a trilogy. This is just part 1. And, because I'm not J.J. Abrams and I'm not good at setting up good hooks, I'm just going to tell you what I'll talk about in the next episode. Alright, so the problem is, as a person, a human being in this real world, how do I deal with the Star Wars mess? You know, it's like a psychological thing, really. I'm not talking about like, what could we change, what could we do in the next movie that would fix it or whatever. I'm just talking about like me personally. What can I do to make myself feel better about the situation? And the answer that I found came from another I guess I shouldn't say another. It came from a TV show, not a movie franchise. A TV show, a strange TV show, a funny TV show. But I'm not going to tell you about that right now. You're going to have to make some guesses and figure it out on yourself. See if you can guess what TV show I found the answer to solve my Star Wars problem. Okay. And, wow. I think I was supposed to review this coffee or something. Right. Chinese NesCafe. It's very good. 5 thumbs. Alright. That's it for today. This is, remember, part 1 of a trilogy. So stay tuned, and we'll get the answer next time to our Star Wars problem. Bye-bye now.